OTR today with three wrestling legends. I may have a tough time getting a word in edgewise. Roddy Piper.
Get set to swag.
Mean Gene Oakerlund.
Tell you one thing, Michael. I'm not going to sugarcoat anything today.
Bobby the Brain Heenan.
Remember one thing in life. A friend in need is a pest.
How good is this going to be?
With Michael Landsberg is brought to you by the Keg Steakhouse and Bar. For great steaks, good friends, see you tonight.
The history of wrestling is fascinating. Today's show for me is like being able to interview the past, but also, I should add, the present and the future. And look who is here. Three guys who I have total respect for, not just for what you've done in the ring and around the ring, but for your ability to talk. Three of the most creative guys around. Mean Gene Oakerlund, great to see you. Great to welcome back to the show.
Always great to be here. Matter of fact, I wanted to compliment you on the chair, Michael. This is a real upgrade. I enjoy it.
It's been a while.
See, the New York Port Authority had a garage sale.
Well, that is the voice of Bobby Heenan. It is great to see a guy who's been through some struggles, but healthy, and we're so happy that you're here. Good to see you, Bobby
Well,
Heenan.
thank you. I feel good. It's good to be here.
And a legend as well, Roddy Piper. A legend in particular in Canada, around the world. You're well known, but we love you because you're one of ours. Good to see you, my friend.
Yes, I am. Thank you for having me.
Okay, so wrestling's had massive ups and downs. It was huge in the late 80s and the late 90s. It's not as big right now. What does the WWE need to do to get back to the level they were, say, in 1999?
Well, I think, Michael, that it has been cyclical for years and for generations. Something I think we're doing right now, both in the United States and now just introducing it into Canada, is probably moving the demographic around. The name of the program is WWE 24/7.
Okay, so let me just interrupt here. And you just actually set a record for the earliest promotion on a show. that you actually, 27 seconds into the show, you came here to promote your book.
You're working with professionals here.
You are shameless.
And you can get my book at Amazon.com.
No, are you hucking anything?
Pardon me?
Are you selling anything?
Yes, my one-man show in Vegas.
I'm sorry, Gene, go ahead.
Yes.
No, I think what it does, instead of just appealing to that 18 to 34 male audience, along with some kids and teens, this is going to run the entire spectrum. When we can go back and take a look at subscription video on demand right here at your fingertips of Andre the Giant, of Hulk Hogan.
So you say beef up the present by selling the past.
Exactly. The market's matured. Where do you go next?
Do you
go to Europe?
Do you guys agree with that?
No, you know, Gene, I understand what you're saying, but I'm not sure that wrestling has taken this dip that you're saying. I think that the business.
He said that, not me.
Okay, I apologize, Mean Gene.
Thank you.
I don't think it's taken a dip. What's going on is they're going overseas and they're spreading themselves around. They have this channel, new channel 24/7, which is going to create a new platform, so you and your kid, when you watched it, you can see. I remember when Piper hit him with the coconut. I remember this, and I think that Vince McMahon and WWE have really done a great job of taking their company and uplifting it. These guys have got everything they need. I was on a tour where I was in Portland, Oregon, and one group was in Belfast and Scotland. They just literally are now worldwide, and they're doing it. And so maybe a little dip in the United States, I understand, in Canada, but I mean, huge business overseas.
All those dates sold out well in advance of the tour.
You know,
and I think that in itself says something.
You're talking about, Bobby, they're talking about using the past, using the old tapes to sell the present. And clearly, your sport, your entertainment, your form of entertainment has a tremendous history. Do you think it relies too much, though, on the history? When a guy like Hulk Hogan, for instance, keeps coming back, does that get in the way of grooming new stars?
I don't know. I think the reason Hogan keeps coming back is because he's valuable. That's obviously what promotion's thinking. They are always grooming new stars. There's always somebody. There's people right now that are in their teens in school that are going to be major stars someday in football, basketball, baseball, and wrestling. We don't even know who they are yet. So they're always grooming something. But if I'm not sure the business is down or up because I don't check the demographics or ratings. But like Gene says, maybe bringing back nostalgia, some of the. These old guys and me, we can have some fun, and the people are going to really enjoy this because it's wrestling from every different place in the world, people I never saw before, and I'm going to watch it, see how I looked back in the 60s, so it's going to be interesting.
You know, there's another, devil's advocate, another way to look at that too is Hogan has done a great job, and they use him because you say he's valuable, and you were saying, well, does that hold them back from creating new stars? Well, those new stars have to have the talent, charisma, and athletic ability to overcome Hogan or whoever it is on top. So I'm not sure that it's holding back.
But when he
anybody.
shows up, he gets the attention, right? He dominates,
But when we were all starting, somebody was dominating it, you know, and we had to fight our way up and overtake it. And I think that these young guys now, they're not quite aware of the fact that they've got to take it in a world champion boxing match. If it's close, they give it to the champion. You got to take the belt away, and I think that's what the young guys are doing.
But it's a lot different today than it was yesterday, because today, like we were talking at breakfast, a guy would say sometimes, "How do you do interviews? I can't do interviews. I want a manager." You want to be a top man to make money, learn to talk.
Yeah.
Damn it, you can. It's that simple. Learn to speak. You shave, don't you? So, be a German, be a cowboy, be an Indian. Do your interview. Learn to talk.
Yeah.
Just don't push it off on somebody else. And that's the truth. If you want to take over Hogan, prepare for it.
I think also, Michael, and you'll have to agree because...
No, Gene, I don't have to agree.
You do have to
I don't
agree.
have to
Trust
agree.
me,
Yeah.
you do
Off
have
the record
to agree.
with
Come on,
Michael
agree.
Landsberg, not Gene Oakerlund. Sorry.
Okay, well,
Not for today.
paid.
when I tell you what I'm about to say here, you will. The production values in the last 25 or 30 years in our business, as you know, have improved dramatically.
Yes, I do agree. You were right.
See what I said?
Yeah.
I remember in Pittsburgh, we used to do TV in Pittsburgh, they had 20 people in the studio, and the backdrop had faces drawn on them. Looks like there were 75 people there, and they would use an audio reel of a football game. So
in those days, you were creating the crowd, creating the excitement, and now the crowds come out, and it's just how to.
And there's more people, there's more stations. Don't forget, we had 3 stations in independent back in the 60s.
I'm loving you, Bobby Heenan. Great to see you, man. Great to
Good
see
to see
Roddy
me.
Piper. Not quite as good to see Gene Oakerlund.
Always good to see you, Michael.
I want to find out so much more because we got 3 of the absolute classics here today. Oh no, stay with us.
Off the Record with Michael Landsberg is brought to you by the Keg Steakhouse and Bar. For great steaks, good friends, see you tonight.
Memorial Day.
Yeah, whatever.
Well, that's a holiday here in this country.
Well, good for you.
I told him not to touch that midget. You never touch a midget. You never know where they've been.
You know how tired I am of listening to Pity the Fool.
Oh, yeah, a lot of glad handers around here today. Keep your hands out of there, pal.
It's been a pleasure. What an idiot.
Oh, that is gold that no one is ever going to hear. Now, I remember when I started at TSN, people said that I had not paid my dues. Wrestling was all about paying your dues. Years in the minors, on the road, learning your craft. Now guys can go from an audition to TV in months. Is that a problem?
I don't think it's a problem. I think that when we started, we had to pay our dues because it was still 300 people in the garage. But with the guys that we've got now, this new generation, they pay their dues in a little different way. They have to get out there and they have to figure it out on their own. They don't have old-timers telling them what to do, and that's one of the problems in wrestling. So they're not paying their dues as far as driving 300 miles, wrestling 300 miles back, paying for your own gas, paying for your own hotel, not knowing what you're going to get paid. They're under contracts, so it's become more of a corporate thing. And I don't think that they're paying their dues the way we did.
You know, I remember in 1965, I was down in Tennessee, my first trip on the road. I was 20 years old. And there were guys on there who would ride 6 in a car. Because they were making $2 or $3 a night. They'd buy a pot roast. They put it in aluminum foil on the manifold. They drive to the town. They pull over on the side. They take it out. It was cooked. Because they couldn't stop and eat. There was no money to be made. I went down there for 6 shots and made $40.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was on top. But that was 1965. But guys paying their dues, yeah, I think
But guys get into the ring nowadays, right, without having the technical skills that you would have needed, for instance, to get into the ring, right? Because if you look the right way, if you sound a little bit the same way, you can go very quickly to
But you don't really need technical skills. You need
I love the way you're not letting Gene talk. Excellent. Good work.
I can sit there if you like.
Keep it up. Stay where you're
Just
at.
put your feet up on Gene.
I think, Michael, a lot of talent is getting pushed ahead of himself in our business today, simply because there's a bigger turnover and everything is faster, including storylines in our programming. And if you're a wrestling aficionado, you take a look at some guys, they make mistakes. Some things are not sold in a proper fashion, but after a few weeks, they learn, maybe the hard way, but they do learn.
We're sitting with two of the greatest villains in history, right? Guys who were really hated for a time in wrestling. Does wrestling need more black and white as opposed to shades of gray, which it has gone to?
I think so. Personally, I think so. I think you have to have you have to put your heart into it. If you're in it, myself, when I'm in the ring, my heart's into what I'm doing, and hopefully my adversary's heart is also, because that really makes us clash.
You know, when I had this cancer, before I had this, I was a 24-hour-a-day heel. I figured to myself, if I shook hands with people and signed autographs, then they'd say, Bobby's a nice guy. He's not like that on TV. In the real life, that's all fake. So I had to be a jerk 24 hours a day. Now after I got sick, I get emails from people telling me, I wrote out 2 books, and I talk about my daughter and how advice she gave me. And people are writing me and thanking me for help and everything. My God, it just changed your whole life. It's nice to be liked. It's so much easier for someone to pat you on the back than kick you in the butt. It's only 12 inches, but it's a big trip. You know?
But it's not necessarily what's best for the wrestling world, right?
Pardon?
It's not necessarily what's best for wrestling from the standpoint that, like, you were massively popular because you were evil, right?
Yeah, exactly. And that's just and Andre was so popular because he was so big.
Tell me, I got to hear from each one of you, a great moment, an example of you seeing this man evil in the ring and how it affected the crowd. Give me one memory of Bobby Heenan.
Excuse me. If you get luck, good, or it's just bad luck. Bobby Heenan, I think, had the uncanny ability to antagonize people in the crowd, and most of it was done verbally. However, there was one match that you had with Blackjack Lanza where the promoter actually said, I don't want you to do that anymore, Bobby, because it's inhumane.
It's too inhumane.
Inhumane. You would wrap the belt around Lanza's neck and then sling him and then pull him back.
No. No, he'd do it to me.
You.
I would take his belt off him. He'd take it away from me. Then he had me all soaking with blood. He put the belt around my neck and throw me and then put the brakes on. And I would just do that. And the promoter said, we can't use this. It's too inhumane.
And how about Roddy?
I said, you pay us, all right?
Yeah.
Well, Roddy Piper, I think it actually goes back to the build-up to WrestleMania 1 when he was incredibly effective working with the likes of Paul Orndorff. And we talked about him, Ace, Cowboy Bob Orton, and some of the great stuff that was done back then. It was a combination of a very dramatic, yet there was some humor in there.
The Cyndi Lauper thing was absolute classic.
Yeah.
I mean, that may have been a high point, one of the high points in your career, but for wrestling in general, I mean, the popularity from that was massive.
I think because when Cyndi Lauper, she was a female vocalist of the year at that time, and when doing her speech, the last thing she said, and Roddy Piper, you're going to get yours. You know, 80 million people are watching.
Coming mainstream.
Yeah, and I'd go by cars, and people would turn up. Girls just want to have fun, and you know, I've been stabbed 3 times. The last one, an inch from the heart.
That was at home.
Ad bay off there.
No, it's not just to work, right? Because I was reading about you, you have been stabbed for real 3
different times. The last one coming in from the heart. You know, then you're getting pretty real.
Because your fans have a difficult time separating, you know, the work in the ring from the real you.
Well, and you know, I think that most of it was my fault because I got into it so hard. I lived it, breathed it, ate it. Like Bobby wrote a book here. I've never talked to you about this, you skunk.
What?
He in one of his books, he says, and tell Roddy Piper that professional wrestling's not real. Yeah. Well, I wish somebody would told me that before I ran into Andre.
No, Roddy defends it 100% all the time.
We got to go to break. I'm loving today's show.
This is our show now.
Okay. Well, you guys keep doing that. How about if we take a brief break and then come back and talk more?
That's fine.
Cut the break, though. Make it short.
We get paid for this.
I can dig it.
Let's see if you fans can guess where the blow-up valve is on those suits.
And you know something, Mean Gene?
If you look like Mr. T, I hate anybody that looks like Mr. T.
I know what you people are thinking right now, that something's on the stove and you smell bacon cooking. No, it's just the lights are hot.
All right, get ready. Hulk Hogan atop of the fence.
You do look like Mr. T.
Bacon cooking. That is gold. Gold, Bobby.
Yeah.
Yes, Bobby.
All right, what you guys did is fake. Now, before Roddy, I know that gets you mad. Before you strip down and show us your injuries, please don't do that. Although you wouldn't have to strip very far. I'm not saying that it's not dangerous, but the results are scripted, right? And the performers are actors for sure. Guys are allowed to come out and do shows like this. Come out of character. Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
I think it's
Whoa,
a great...
whoa. You were talking to me.
But he looked at me.
But he looked at you. See how confused he is? You know what? He doesn't know he's on the air yet. No, I'm not a character. I wear this because I came 5th in the world playing the bagpipes. I was the 167 amateur wrestling champion, Golden Gloves champion. First match, professional match I saw, I was in. And I was 15 years old, and I had no other means of making a living. And so I clambered onto it, and I learned from Judo Gene LaBelle, one of the toughest guys in the world, trained Bruce Lee, trained Chuck Norris, myself, only 25 black belts. He's given away 74 years. And I defend it because you say, well, it's a character. I'm not a character. This is me.
But guys do now come out of character, right? I mean, we've had
no,
Mark...
well, you're talking about me.
Okay. Well, actually, I wasn't. I threw out the question. I said, "Is it a good thing
then
or a
you know
bad
what?
thing?"
I'm going to make you talk about me.
Okay.
And I'm not.
You guys
I'm not
want to
a
lock
phony.
up? We'll leave.
No, that's fine.
So
no, I'm not a character. I'm not a made-up guy. I'm a product of wrestling that started for me in 1969.
Would
So
you
I'll
be
pass on.
allowed to do this show when you were working for Vince McMahon 20 years ago? Would you be allowed to do that?
I wouldn't do it as point of choice at any
Why not?
time. Because I don't think that I put the proper light on wrestling. People, that's fake, it's that. No, like you know how to fall. Not
But
20
times
times a
have
night.
changed, though, because you're doing the show now. You're saying that 20 years ago you wouldn't have done it. Now you're doing it. So can we come to the agreement that times have
that's
changed?
not correct. I'm the only one disagreeing with you guys.
Well, these guys actually haven't had a chance to speak because you've been dominating the conversation, Roddy.
All right, now.
Is it a good or bad thing that guys like you
ask him.
can come out of character?
No, I think
It's
it's
about
good.
your book. That's what we're coming back to.
No, it's
Right.
not about you now, Rod.
Amazon.
Sorry.
No, I think it's good. I think it is. You know, do they really think I live in Beverly Hills and I'm really snooty and hate everybody and I'm stupid?
Yeah.
Yeah, I am. I'm on a plane one day and the guy says to me, "Where do you live?" I said, "Beverly Hills." He says, "So do I. What street?" I didn't know a street. I said, "You know that sign Hollywood?" He said, "Yeah." I said, "Behind it." I didn't know it. You know, but now they come on, people can see we're human beings and stuff. I managed a guy called the Missing Link. They really think I went out and found a guy and brought him out with a chain. He just has a bad haircut from New York, that's all. But he's a missing link. I mean, baseball. When's the last time you went to a game and a guy in the on-deck circle had a mask on? When they ever introduced a guy from basketball playing center tonight from parts unknown, those things don't happen. So let's be human. Let those people admire us for the ability we have.
You guys have shown the ability to shut up Gene Oakerlund, which is not an easy thing to do.
And there's been
that
nobody-
music means we're going to break, Gene.
I'll
Another
pick my
break.
spots, and when we come back, I've got a couple of things that I want to talk to you about.
Okay, and as we go to break, we're going to take a look at an email, and this is a question for, I believe it's you, Bobby Heenan, and sorry, it's for you, Roddy. And the question for you, Roddy Piper, is because it's all about you. Hey, Roddy, could you recreate the greatest moment in wrestling history and hit Landsberg with a coconut?
Oh, yeah.
That
Not
could
a
be
problem.
done.
That could
Hey,
be
Gene,
done.
I wasn't asking you. We'll take a look at that great moment. When
You
we
have a
return.
sledgehammer here?
The only thing I didn't get a tree for you to climb up and down like a monkey, like you want to do. You want to be a big shot? I'll get you a tree next time. You want a banana? Have a banana. There you go. Good
That is one of the most famous moments in wrestling history. We're sitting here with three of the most famous guys in wrestling history. I got to say, before the show is done, this has been a total pleasure and an honor to sit with three legends, three really good guys. But I got to ask you, how'd you get away with that?
I think that nobody knew it was going to happen, and I just went for it. And I don't think that people from Fiji are feeling that they're downtrodden in society.
You were mashing a banana in the face of a guy from the island.
But you know, I don't think people care about that. It's wrestling. You can shoot a guy, bow and arrows. It's wrestling. But now if that would have happened in basketball, football, and other sport, they'd have probably been upset. I think there was more racial overtones to the African-American midget that they were shaving his head rather than hitting snooker with some.
You're killing me again, Bobby. Feeling the heat here.
Take your brother
But at the time, that was talked about at the water coolers. If you passed through an airport, fans would come up to you and say, what the hell was Roddy Piper doing to Superfly Jimmy Snuka?
Right, and that was the nature of the time, but that's also what made it so successful, right? Like after World War II, wrestling had a German guy, right? And you had the Russians,
Japanese.
and I mean, everyone that was an evil villain, you would take that and build into that.
The Iron Sheik.
Right.
You know, same thing.
Volkov,
Yeah,
right? I mean, all of that.
You know, quickly, with that piece of business there, where I was coming from, I have 4 kids to feed, and I needed to get over on the WWE television, and I just went for it. It was my way of doing it. Kind of sorry I did it because it really did hurt Jimmy. It hurt him physically. He's never been quite the same. You know, so I just went for it.
We're wrapping this thing up. I got to ask you, you made reference to it early on in the show, 24/7. Tell me about that.
24/7 is going to revolutionize the business for the fans and also for us in the industry, in that you're going to have carte blanche, 75,000 hours of archived material to choose from, and it's arrived in Canada, and the reception that we've got on the street so far,
tremendous.
Very, very good.
You can pick that up at Rogers. I believe it's channel 400. You can find out what's going on.
You can see the heydays of wrestling when he had hair like Don King. I mean, it was amazing. He was 9.
You're the last one to talk.
Who?
You.
Yeah.
What's wrong with my hair?
Before we run out of time, too, I think you're a terrific host, and I thank you for having us, because one thing I think that the younger generation has lost is if it wasn't for people like you allowing us on shows like this.
That's unbelievable. 1,900 shows. My first compliment. Thanks for joining us in OTR.
Thanks for having me.
Off the Record with Michael Landsberg is brought to you by the Keg Steakhouse and Bar. For great steaks, good friends, see you tonight. Michael Landsberg's clothing, provided by Victorinox Swiss Army. Available at Sporting Life in Toronto and better retailers across Canada.
You think this is a beautiful animal? You got fleas all over the cock. I mean,
better than Hulk Hogan. Look at the beautiful face.
you've got horrible taste.
I was just going to mention, there's a lot of people concerned about me. I understand that, well, in Beverly Hills, I happen to know that my mailman right there is hunchbacked. I'm just carrying my mail.
The only thing I didn't get a tree for you to climb up and down like a monkey, like you want to do. You want to be a big shot? I'll get you a tree next time. You want a banana? Have a banana. There you go. Good banana.